You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and Miss Coley Cole will not be in tonight. But tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KMPL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire, get some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock out to some Bumblefoot and so much more. We have an awesome show for you tonight. We should be bringing in our guest, Michael Hall, a little bit later here. But what we're going to do first, let me go ahead and welcome everybody in. We got a race fan in the gold position as always. Let's see here. We have, is it race fan? Okay. We have Little Cam 5-1. We have Crystal J. All right, and want to welcome in everybody. Carl Bittner, Angels Are Life, Donna Spencer, Philip Blair, Kurt M, Nancy Thames, Laura Lobbs. Looks like a new name. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. Let's see, Kurt M, Philip Blair, Avita NY, Paranormal Pixie Laura, The Girl in Her Gong, Susie B, Candy Wolf. Thank you for coming in. The Demon. All right. And that's up to date here. Spiritual Odyssey. Thanks for coming in. All right. So to go ahead and get this thing kicked off, Candlin, thanks for coming in. We're going to go ahead and have Spaced Out Radio heart to heart with us and our viewers here. So I do have Mr. David Scott, and I do have Mr. Terry Hall.
Evening, Rob.
Yeah, good evening, Dave. How you doing, Dave?
I am good. How are you?
Doing good. Terry, great. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, so apparently we need to have a heart-to-heart with our Spaced Out Radio family here, family issues, and you can take it away whenever you're ready.
Well, we've had a situation here where I have zero tolerance on certain things in our chat rooms. And we had a situation that has made me very uncomfortable because this type of crap always seems to happen when I'm on days off. And people try and sneak stuff in. So what's happened here is we had a situation where a listener, as you know, Rob, we share listeners on our channel to yours on the Social Dig, decided to gather up with a few other listeners to try and dox someone from Spaced Out Radio. Now, I look at doxing as something stupid, something evil, something vile. I don't care what the situation is. You don't dox somebody for their family, their real name, their friends, whoever it may be. You just don't pull that. It's also illegal. And so, unfortunately, I have had to ban a longtime listener because of threats and showing of doxing. Now, I look at doxing the exact same way as I look at racism and the exact same way as I look at something like homophobia. I have once banned our largest donor to Spaced Out Radio because he decided to put something racist in our chat room about a year and a half ago. And he's still begging me to come back in, and I still say no. Okay, there are certain things I will not put up with. The chat room, everybody, is not a democracy. It's a Daveocracy. Okay, Daveunism, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Okay, but I will not tolerate certain things. I will not tolerate doxing. Other channels, if they want to do that stupidity and break the law because it is part of cyberbullying, you go for it. Go to those channels and dox all you want. But that crap is not going to happen here. That crap is not going to happen anywhere. And I'm trying to have, this is my day, how I found out about this. I'm trying to have a day of fishing on the river that I never get with my father. And this is what I have to deal with. I had to leave the river to deal with this, give up my fishing hole to deal with this. And for those of you who know fishing, when you are in the honey hole and you got to give it up for something stupid, there's nothing more that pisses you off. Nothing more. I was fishing with my buddy. I hadn't fished with him in 8 years today. And I had to leave because I had to deal with this crap. I'm absolutely angry. Angry. Okay. I know the situation fully. Those who are defending the actions of the doxer don't know the situation fully. Okay. I do. That being said, nobody's perfect. Okay. Sometimes things slip out in the chat rooms. And if what I'm saying upsets you, I apologize. Okay. But I have a modicum of respect for people in the chat room, whether I agree with them or not. I allow a lot to go on in our chat room. The only thing I expect is be respectful. And the person who is involved in this, okay, who is deciding that doxing is a good thing, sorry, not on my watch. Go to another chat room. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I apologize to you. If it pisses you off and you hit unsubscribe, I'm okay with that. And our entire SRR team is okay with that if you're okay with doxing. Okay? The other person involved, this involves Random Guy. Okay? Him and I have been talking all day about this. All right? He's upset. All right? Not only is Random Guy somebody who has helped us out on SOR, yes, he's a big mouth. Yes, he's a loud mouth. Yes, he is someone who is overly passionate. Okay. But to go after someone's life, to go after someone's children, not cool. Not cool. And that will not be tolerated in the SOR chat room. It's never been tolerated, and it will never be tolerated moving forward. And I had to give up my goddamn fishing spot for this.
I had to I had to get in on the link. So I just want to say something real quick on this, and I'm not going to harp on it. We can move on with it, but I do need to say this. I really, really enjoy hanging out with you guys. I enjoy hanging out with the chat. I even enjoy when people tell me I'm full of all of it, right? Healthy debates. Sometimes things get hot. People call each other names. They argue. We're adults. Things happen. I've been wrong. I've had to apologize. Other people, like, no one's perfect, like you said, right? What is not going to happen? And the only reason I go by random guy, anybody can find anybody, right? Let's be real. If you really, really dig, you could find anybody. The only reason I've said that since the first day I ever started coming on this show, that I don't go by my name, is for two reasons. One, it's not about me. None of this is about me, because I'm just a regular dude that has an experience. I've had some cool ones, and I try to give you guys insight, right? And the other reason is I have children. And as much as we might just argue and debate, because most of the people here are morally and mentally sound, there are some people that are not. And that's it. That's it. I'm not hiding from anything. I haven't done anything wrong. But what has happened in the last 3 days is illegal. I have a full list of everybody. And here's the thing that I don't want this to be like a you better watch your back or threat. I don't mean it. I don't want it to be that. Okay. This is a, hey, learning moment for everybody. The people that are guilty of this are being prosecuted right now, and they have no idea. To go after me was a huge mistake. I'm going to let it play out the way it plays out, but you messed up. You went after my kids when you go after me. What would you do for your kids? Okay. So let me leave it at that. I hope that we can move forward and everything's cool. I don't care if you hate my guts, you tell me off. I'm cool with that. I'm a regular dude. I can just wipe it off. The reason that I roll the way I roll is really just because of my kids, guys. It's not hard to find me. You want to meet me that bad? You want to punch me in the face? Whatever it is, tell Dave. He'll set it up. But I would hope that you wouldn't stoop to that level. And when I made my reports, I found out I'm filing federal, I'm filing in California, I'm filing in Nevada. And I will be prosecuting to the full extent of the law. And I've already identified the people involved. So you can erase whatever you want. It's logged. But for everybody else, let it be a cautionary tale. Don't do this crap. Tell someone you hate them, block them, do whatever you got to do. Don't bring people's family into it. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, RG.
Thanks, guys.
You got anything, Terry, before I go in?
Just our chat is supposed to be for everybody's enjoyment, not for anything political or vengeful or spiteful. It's for everybody's enjoyment. Can't we just leave it at that? Let's be better than that, guys. We can be better than that. We are better than that.
It was my final day of fishing for the year today.
I know, Dave.
Get down.
I'd make look, guys. This kind of stuff's hard on all of us. Imagine having to call somebody who is on his last day of fishing with his father and drop this kind of ridiculousness at his feet. But it's not ridiculousness, guys. What you have to understand that in certain states, this is illegal. Cyberbullying is illegal. If you have a problem with somebody, like I said, bring it to Dave, bring it to me. I'm sure that behind the scenes, if it's that serious of a matter, we could come to some sort of meeting, get people together, and come to, some sort of resolve without having to stoop to something like this. So keep that in mind. That our chat room is for everyone's enjoyment. Okay. Thanks, Rob. Sorry, Dave.
I just want to say one final thing before I get out of here and let you guys do the show. Okay. I try and see the human side of everybody. I think that's why everybody kind of connects with what we do at SOR. Okay. But like I said, there are certain things I do not put up with in the chat room. Okay. I do not put up with racism. I do not put up with homophobia. And if you want to play the doxing game, you're not welcome here either. And it doesn't matter just because it's random guy. It's you guys don't know what it's like to be a pseudo celebrity and have people finding out your real name and posting on your nephew's memorial page. Okay, which is supposed to be a private family thing. Okay, I realize listeners care. I realize we get you know, all a little worked up sometimes. We try to have fun. We try and be as tight of a family as we can, but sometimes families are going to argue. Okay, I don't get along with, you know, there's things my dad does I don't get along with. There's things I do that piss him off. All right, same as my sisters, same as my family. The point that I'm getting at here, guys, is this: the chat room is for everybody. The chat room has always been for everybody. No politics, no COVID, no stupid conspiracy theories, no racism, no doxing, no homophobia. Everybody is allowed in our room. Everybody has a safe house in our room. All right. And if you don't want to play by those rules, I apologize, but maybe we're not the show for you. But
Seconded.
this is the problem that I have is this is the kind of stuff that every time I try and take a little vacation, I have to get my phone wound up. And that's what bothers me. And the person who has been blocked indefinitely, if not forever, from SOR, okay, was still going into the chat rooms, all of our chat rooms that we have on YouTube, going in there and putting blame on everybody but herself. Okay? That's not cool. Not cool to me whatsoever. All right? I don't care if you like Random Guy. I don't care if you like me or Rob or Terry or whoever on our team, or if you love us. Okay? Treat us like humans at least. Right? So I'm sorry. I'm going to go calm down. I apologize. We had to start the show off this way. Thank you, Rob. You know, I know you're going to do a great job, you and Terry, on bringing the energy back up. And I'm going to Guns N' Roses tomorrow night. Horns up, Paradise City.
With and you enjoy yourself.
Yes,
Horns
sir.
up, babe.
Please do.
Thanks again, boss. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Take care.
All right, Dave. All right, and I just want to give a final word on it because it was I had no clue that any of this had taken place, and ended up that it was brought to my attention that some of this stuff happened in my chat over at the Social Dig. If you didn't know, I have a show over there. And so I wake up this afternoon because I was dead tired. So I woke up this afternoon to calls and text messages regarding this situation. And then it was brought out to my attention that it actually happened during my show, the live call-in show that we do there. And anyone who has frequented my channel, they know what the motto of my show is, in the mood for my show. And what we say every show at the Social Dig is we do what we're doing here for the positive progression of humanity. And I bring it up on the screen so everybody knows that. And it just kind of, you know, makes me feel kind of disheartened a little bit, you know, to know that people that I respect and, you know, provide a platform for to talk. I want to hear you guys' story. Like, we have been having a great time. And then just to have, you know, kind of putting me in a position where now, you know, technically this stuff is happening on my platform. And so I'm just as culpable to what happened as anybody, the people who perpetrated it. So I would just hope that we can reel this stuff all back in, bring back the whole family aspect of what we have going on. It's always been a great time in the SOR chat. I've been in there with you guys chatting. There's been a lot of good stuff happening in there, a lot of good moods and emotions and perspectives. Same thing over in my show. The people who come over and support over there always have a great time. You know, we always talk about things that'll help the overall movement. I want to continue that, you know. And I had to cancel tonight's show, had nothing to do with this. It was because I have to take over for Dave Scott tomorrow night. So got to go ahead and go to bed after tonight's show. But I just wanted to say that because it just kind of made me feel some kind of way that I got crossed into that, and simply by doing something that I thought was helping everybody. So that's my spin on it. That's what I have to
I'm going
say.
to put one final thing on top of that, Rob.
Sure.
You, Dave, RG, are family. Real, true, no BS. We're family, right? RG's in the chat room right now, apologizing to everyone else. There's no reason for him to be apologizing for anything. RG, we've all got your six on this one, man. First off, each and every one of us appreciate what you've done for each and every one of us. Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for your service to us. You could call me right now. I'd leave from where I'm at, and you know where I'm at, and I would have no problem being at your front door if you needed me. Dave goes out of his way to bring us all a good show. Rob goes out of his way to bring all of us a good show. These are two very talented individuals that don't deserve to be put in spots like this. So before you think about doing something like this, don't just think about yourself. Think about everybody else that's going to be attached to your actions, okay? Because we've gotten to the point with social media now that, and it's even a cliche, keyboard warriors. It's ridiculous. I mean, you can tell by my face, I'm no stranger to getting punched. I remember what it's like to get punched in the mouth for being out of line, right? I'm not. I don't promote violence in any way, shape, or form at all. Uh, legally, yeah, but it should never get to this point. You know, we do this show. Rob does his show, so you can get good information from the source at the time it happens with expediency and level headedness, with no opinion, spin, or shape on it. It's here's the evidence, here's the people. Dave and Rob, they leave the chat open so you can ask questions to the people that they bring on. Booking these people isn't easy, putting this show together isn't easy. So, this kind of stuff, before you do it, be the adult that you are. Be the person that you are. Take a look in the mirror and say, is this something that I would do to myself? And just don't do it. Just don't do it. There's no need or reason for people to be apologetic or saying, I was out of line and I shouldn't have done this or I shouldn't have done that. It should never have happened to begin with. Keep in mind to the people that are behind the scenes that are trying to bring you guys the information and a place that we can all go and enjoy. That's it. Let's, like I said, this is a place for all of us to enjoy each other's company. Let's keep it at that.
Yeah. So let's get back to some fun stuff, man. Let's you know,
We got an awesome guest tonight on Mr. Rob G.
Yeah.
I mean, did you look at this guy's background?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And we're waiting for him to come in. He should check this, but he said he'll be in here shortly. So we can just talk here for a little bit, maybe welcome other people that came in. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna get it. I mean, all family goes through crazy stuff at times, ups and downs, you know that. And we're
Now,
gonna
see,
bring
that
it
brought a
back.
smile to my face. That brought a smile to my face. Family, exactly. I mean, we're not the Brady Bunch, but I guarantee you, we'd make a really good TV show.
Right. Right.
Instead of Days of Our Lives, it could be Spaced Out Radio and the Crew.
Right. And there's shows out there that have drama chat rooms, and there's gossip shows and things like that. This as we talk a lot of times, these are the getaway places. These are the places where you get to leave all that stuff and come and have a great time with other like-minded people like yourself, have great conversation, get up to date on what's going on with the latest UFO cryptid news, and going from there to see what part you can play, what information you can provide. And I'd love to keep hearing that. So let me go ahead and see if I can see.
Amy, Daves of Our Lives. Daves
Yeah,
of Our Lives. And yes, Donna,
exactly.
we do have a show this evening where our guest is running a little behind, so we're waiting.
Yep. And we'll be getting to it in a minute. Let me see. Go back. Okay, I know we said talk to Philip Blair. Okay, Spiritual Odyssey. I don't know if I said hello. Thanks for coming in. Terry Gray. Thanks for coming in. Dogman UK had a great conversation last night. They always do. Guys, you have to watch out for that guy. He's got it up here. He's really great.
Mhm.
Let's see. No BS News. Thanks for coming in. Rain Sea, Stargazer. Let's see. The
You know,
Demon.
dude, that, Rob, I tell you what, ever
Mm-hmm.
since you started this thing with people being able to call in and leave a peace of mind, and you've been on the show too, especially you. I mean, it's you. I've seen all kinds of new names that I just don't recognize, and
Yeah,
it's not like I don't pay attention to this. It's part of my job, right? So seeing all these new names is awesome. It's
it
just awesome.
is. Every time I see one, to me it signifies that Space Out Radio is growing, and that's good. And this could be from our own viewers here sharing, which you always say your mama taught you to share. So go ahead and
Amen to
share.
that.
So,
Don't be selfish, man. Do what your mama taught you and share.
and I think a lot of that is going on, and it's great. And this has always been the place to cut. And that goes back to what it was just saying. It's a family thing going on here, and usually when we have new people come in, they get a feel for what's going on. They see the chat. They love the interactions in there. They see where people's hearts are. They see the people on screen, and they resonate with all that, and they end up staying and coming back and coming back and coming back again, which is great because this is a safe place to speak your mind, relax, and it's just a reason why I feel like we're seeing a lot of these new names. So if you're
Well,
sharing
that
out
and
there, keep doing that.
if you pay attention to even some of the descriptive names that we have in our chat room and some of the comments that people leave, it, there's people from all over the world here in this chat room. I
Yeah,
mean, you can find out what the yes. I bet you if you post it out in the chat once the show gets rolling, hey, what's the temperature in London today? Somebody could tell you. Or
yeah,
hey, what's the weather like in Australia today? And somebody could tell you. So
yeah.
it's not just our little, we think of ourselves as a tight little community and a tight little family, but we've never really realized just how far spread we are.
No, and that's the truth. And it even hit me more because I know some, Dogman UK man. So we know Dogman
Hmm.
is in UK. However, when we get him over to the call-in show at the Social Dig, and then able to speak to him directly and hear his voice, then it really
Yeah.
it really hits even more because you get these
Hmm.
accents from around the world as well, and it kind of it just ends up being uh, an example of how global this is and how people all over the globe care about this issue and what's going on and want to contribute to the overall success of humanity getting where it needs to go.
Well,
So I've had
bro,
Susie B. Susie B's been in the chat, but we've heard her voice. Amy WC, who's in, I don't know if she's in here today, but she
Yeah,
came on last
she's
night.
here.
Oh, she's here? Okay. Amy WC,
Hmm.
shout out. She came in and spoke last night in the call-in show. It was great. And it's just another example of,
You know what? For me, dude, it's kind of like this. It's like you read this really awesome book, right? And then they make a movie out of it, and you see the movie. But then the next time you read the book, you can put a voice to that, right?
yes,
Or you can put a face to that. And now with certain people in our chat room, now that we've actually heard their voice, it gives it a whole different flavor, man.
yes,
Because now you got the voice to go along, and now you could start putting a little bit of intonation into some of these text messages, and they
yes.
mean a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it does. And I said that to Dogman UK because he has a really thick Irish accent. If you haven't heard, if you want to hear him, you can go to Social Dig and listen to the last call and show, last couple.
Hmm.
And a lot of the people that you fraternize with here in the chat, you get to hear their voices. And then I said, whenever you read their messages, you're gonna hear it in their voice because now you
Hmm.
have a little more connection with that person. So great
And
conversations over there.
and Donna, hello. This is one of my dogs, by the way. This is Phoebe. She's built for speed. One of my
Hey,
good girls. Um, Donna was asking if SOR will be in Nevada. No. Well, actually, we'll be in Reno uh,
yeah,
for the SOR gathering this year. So absolutely, we'll be in Nevada, Donna.
definitely.
Susie's got us covered already in the chat room. She's given the 411 about it. So right on. Thanks, Susie. Appreciate that. See,
And
dude,
Abbott,
family, right?
exactly. And it's going to continue. I mean, and we'll get over this and we'll get past it and we'll reel it back in because that's what we do here. Abbott Hoffman, thank you for coming in. Um, to Mothman, I don't know if I said you before. Thanks for coming in. Spook Cat, thanks for coming in. Nicole Sackage, thanks for coming in.
Hello, Nicole.
CS,
We got
thanks for coming in.
Jason Pearl, Candy Wolf, Brown Dwarf. Salute, by the way, to you, sir. Who was just on with Jessica just
Exactly.
a
I
minute
went and
ago.
checked them out. I checked them out over there. Brown Door salute.
Dude, he's another one of those nutballs that goes out in the forest and chases something that's like 10 feet tall, weighs about 1,000 pounds. And if it ever got really bad attitude, I don't care what you had, your bear spray ain't gonna stop that thing. So
No,
salute to Brown Dwarf, man.
exactly. Because it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me. I'm telling you.
You know
Donna
what though?
Spencer.
You
Yeah.
had we were talking about that Bigfoot video that's out kind of making a splash right now last night, right? And
Hmm.
then watching the intro into the show where that Bigfoot, Dave's got the Bigfoot like strolling
Yeah.
in front of the cabin, right? That kick that it looks just like the way that thing was moving on that video. The way Dave's got that laid out, it looks so. And Dave's another one of these nut jobs that goes out and chases Bigfoot, man. Get me out in the field, put me in the rear with the gear with all the good gadgets and stuff, and
Yeah.
let me see what's happening in the atmosphere. And I've often told Tim, hey, if we're ever out here, dude, and one of these guys lands, I'll get it all on video for you, bro. Because he's one
Exactly.
of the guys that says, I'll get on board. I'm like, nah, I'll tell everybody the story, but
There you
you
go.
can have the adventure, right?
Exactly. So yeah, some of these guys go out by themselves doing this, and I would never. I would never. I would never. I would be out open to going. I just have to be with a big group of people, and so that way, if somebody gets picked off, I could be kind of in the back, and while I'm running off and calling for help, and yeah, okay.
Hmm.
But I'm not gonna be the one going on that trip by myself, or even with one person. It's got to be a group. It's got to be a group.
You know what? I've got a question for the chat tonight. Um, we're starting to get really good video evidence in a few different places, like Utah, the Pacific Northwest, of course, always for Bigfoot. Um, but Bigfoot was one of those things that was in the gray area, right? So we got all of these people coming in from the black and white world into the gray world now, right?
Hmm.
And growing up, we were all told that UFOs, at least some of us we're told UFOs ain't real and Bigfoot isn't real and vampires and werewolves ain't real and dogmen ain't real. so forth and so on. Okay. So we've opened the doors up. We've got UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, in the vernacular with Congress. So, do you, Rob, and our chat room think that if we can get this wall to actually fall, or if we can get the doors to actually open as far as UAPs go, will that open the door for more diverse subjects in the paranormal research? Bigfoot, ghosts, things like that. What do you think?
Yes, my answer, and I've pondered that before, and my answer to that is yes. And I think actually those are the steps that we need to take in when introducing the subject, because just like I say, when you're courting someone, potentially relationship status sort of thing, when you meet that person, you generally you don't give them everything. You don't bring the real weird in until after you've known each other for a while. And I think that's kind of the same approach that should be taken when unraveling this. Is a lot of layers to the onion. So I think we have to take the bare bones of this, which is ETs are here, the ships are in the sky, and we can show that, get everybody on board with that. And then once they're like, okay, yeah, these things are here, then you can start opening the door up to all the other things. And it should be like a domino effect to even, the most obscure of the obscure. So, and obviously us in ufology, we already have done that or gone through those steps, but you just have to think about it from the perspective of someone who's on the outside, who hasn't even considered any of this, and how if you were to introduce all the weird to them at first, they may back away and say, whoa, that's a little too strong for me. So I think you have to bring them in with the bare bones we're dealing with. And then once you have them in, then you start showing them the other stuff. And I think that's definitely the steps that would end up being taken.
Well, I tell you what, and this kind of relates back into something that happened to me that you're familiar with. That deal that happened to me and you in a basin, the hitchhiker effect deal.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of even relates to a question that Jason posted in the chat. It's what's our ideas on the Mandela effect? What's behind it? Is it negative or positive? For me, I think the Mandela effect is related to dimensionality and how many times we actually jump through dimensionality. Now, most of the people here family know, I had a bullet move in my chest. Something happened to me and it went from one side of my chest to the other, right? So if you were standing in a mirror and looking at yourself, you have the opposite reflection. So where it's at currently is where I maybe would have seen it in a mirror. Well, when it happened to me, what brought me to this line of thinking was I had one of the guys who is pretty familiar with this kind of stuff ask me if he said, maybe you jumped through a portal or you went through a dimension. And it really messed me up for a little while, Rob. It really did, because I was actually, and this goes back to what he just asked, I was looking to see if anything was different here. If maybe I did fall through something and go through, and this is the mirror me, So I was actually looking for different things like the Mandela effect. What do you think causes the Mandela effect?
Oh, it sounds very plausible, and that's how that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, just the fact that with so many of those examples, like the Jiffy example, all the different examples that they give, I mean, a lot of them end up panning out as far as like most people, for whatever reason, end up having the same opinion on that. Like, no, it was Jiffy. No, and to find out that it wasn't. So what is it that has so many people under the belief that something that they're saying wasn't actually happened? And then you have to either think about, is it just like a mass delusional sort of thing where for whatever reason everybody happens to think that it was that thing, or could it be something more plausible, like maybe it was an alternate timeline that we were on, and if you think about it, when you face different situations where I like forks in the road. Like, okay, I just applied for this really big job. It's a really great position, and you're qualified for it, and whatever for whatever reason you don't get it. So now you went down this fork, but was there an alternate line that actually you did get that job? And I think about that all the time. Like when you have near NDE experiences, you know, is the new timeline that broke off the one where you came back from that versus with the one where you didn't come back from that. You know what I mean? So a lot of that stuff ends up making a lot of sense when you
Mhm.
think about it, and that's why I just say plausible, because I don't know if we can ever prove that at the end of the day. But when I always say, one of the best tools to use in what I've been finding out in ufology is just like your common sense. In common sense, you go down that would, just like I explained here, and it makes sense. So it's like, okay, it could be plausible, and that's kind of my rationalization.
You know, there's so many mysteries, Rob. Even something that we can tangibly put our finger on, like a doppelganger, for instance. Okay, we actually, when I first met Grant, or our Grantavius, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, dude, I kid you not, I thought he was Dean Ackles. I thought he was Dean Winchester, man. I really did. But then it dawned on me that, hey, Dean Winchester doesn't have tattoos, but our Grant does. He's a spitting image of him. Uh, but since since that happened to me, I have noticed a few things that at least I thought were there. Was the kind of men that like the Jiffy thing, or the Curious George. Did he have a tail, or didn't he have a tail, or you know, the guy, did he have a hat? Did he have a hat? Whatever. I've noticed some strangeness.
Yeah,
Or could
yeah.
it be what the old church lady used to say? Could it be Satan?
Right. The church lady. That you guys have. Most people should know that reference there. But
You know, but it's Susie B with deja vu. Is that
yeah,
dude? Is it a glitch in the matrix? They're studying the fact that, and there's so many other scientists out there today that say we're living in a simulation.
yeah. Deja vu is something else, and I know I looked at that before, and I figured out, or I didn't figure out, but I was thinking, is deja vu either just like a form of you seeing into the future, or is it, I forgot how I positioned it, but are you, if you had a recollection of that thing happening before, were you seeing into the future in order to see that back when, or were you recalling something that actually happened to you before, like maybe in another timeline as well? So I don't know, it's a
Or
weird
maybe
thing.
maybe in another lifetime, even
Right.
that's like a shadow of a previous life. You know.
Right. Well, what we have here, Terry, what we'll do, because we have 15 minutes left here, we'll go ahead and introduce our guest for the night, and just kind of get them introduced. And we'll be going into the break and then jump into more of the rest of the stuff for hour two. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring in our guest for the night. He's a paranormal lawyer, former Superior Court judge, MUFON representative, affiliated with NUFORC, and an experiencer. We're going to bring on Michael W. Hall, guys. Hey, Michael, how are you today? Can you hear us? Yeah, okay. Yeah, how are you? How are you? Nice to meet you. Welcome to After Hours. Just went down a whole long list of things you are
Hey
related
guys, can you
to.
hear me all right?
We
Yeah,
got you.
we can hear you.
555. Michael,
Can
you
you
got
can you hear
us?
us? Thumbs up. Can you hear us? I don't think he can hear us. Okay.
You're
Hey
freezing
there.
up a little bit, Michael.
Hey,
Can you hear us?
Yeah,
can you hear us,
I can
Michael?
hear you. You're breaking up
Okay,
just
great.
slightly, but I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just saying you have a lot of credentials here. Paranormal
I can
lawyer.
hear I can hear you guys. Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. And you must have a delay as well. Okay. Yeah, Michael, I was just talking about your credentials. Paranormal lawyer, Superior Court judge, MUFON investigator, and attorney for NUFORC. A lot of credentials there and an experience on top of that. Just wanted to start this out real quick because we have about 14 minutes till our first break. If you could start us out at, how did you get into this? How did you get into, okay, how did you get into ufology? How did you get into, like, where did this all start? Starting from like a kid, if you wouldn't mind starting there.
Yeah. First of all, let me test my audio here. Can you both hear me?
Gotcha.
Clear.
Cool. Sorry about my lighting problem here. I've got to get to a good audio spot. I'm in my car. It's actually, but it seems to do well, as far as the being able to hear. Um, I started out this whole thing just like a lot of folks, I think, with an interest as a kid. I love the comic books back in the 50s when I was a little kid. I'm 71 now, so it's like, been a long time that I've been interested in this subject. Then I love the Superman comics, the Green Hornet, everything like that. And then to progress to the dime novels, with George Adamski, George Van Tassel, and all the stories of the 1950s contactees who said that they're actually talking with Venusians, and people that are out there in the universe. And so I thought that was pretty weird. And then, of course, as I get older, I literally got into the MUFON, newsletters and those kinds of things. And then eventually, as I grew up and decided to go to law school and become a lawyer, I literally, when I graduated, did pro bono work for anybody that that I really enjoyed helping, and that would be some of the researchers out there that are in the paranormal field. And of course, now over the years, I've been doing this for 35 years as an attorney and a former Superior Court judge pro tem, and literally. Come across clients like Grant Cameron, Kevin Day, the radar operator off the USS Princeton, for the Tic Tac UFO event and those kinds of things. I've even represented James Harder back in the old days. If you know who James Harder is, the first UFO researchers that got a hold of um, Travis Walton in his abduction, case. So that's a long story about how I got started, but I'm in the thick of it, and I really enjoy this time that we're all in right now, which is such a pivotal point, I think, in UFO history.
Michael, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
You grew up with guys like George Carlin, uh, born in Walla Walla, being a Superior Court judge, now doing UFOs. Kevin and his wife are dear, dear friends of mine as well. Uh,
Ah,
do you think, Michael, that what's happening in Congress right now is going to move forward, or do you think it's more up to uh, independent researchers to move the ball forward? I know it's kind of early to ask a question like that, but it's eating me up, Michael. It's really eating me up. And I'm a hall boy by the way, as well.
Oh, fantastic! There you go. We're all related somehow. That's for sure. When you go back far enough,
Yes,
I
sir.
tell you what. Tim Burchett, the congressman from Tennessee, who literally kind of was the driving force behind the original hearings, for the Congress. I think he's a little frustrated right now because of the fact that he wanted to get some follow-up hearings right away, and of course, having maybe even the Senate hearings that they were talking about as well. I don't know that it's going to happen anytime soon. It sounds like things are kind of hitting a snag there. Uh, New legislation is supposed to come through that will help whistleblowers, and I know that they've talked to them. Literally, from what I hear, there's at least 40 or so whistleblowers who have given Congress in the private skiffs, their testimony on what they've seen and how they've been involved in these crash retrieval programs and that kind of thing. So I know they're out there. We just need to keep pushing forward, all of us. Anybody in MUFON, anybody who's out there that has some pull with any of the congressmen or senators, to keep going and open up this whole floodgate, because it's just about ready to happen, I believe.
Do you
Yeah,
think
it feels that way.
do you think it's been put on the back burner due to the state of affairs in the world at the present?
Oh no, not because of the state of affairs in the world. I think the state of affairs in the world are probably the ultimate distraction that has been, there, that they can take advantage of to kind of have the excuse not to go forward. I think that's probably one of the issues we're dealing with.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, and I feel the same way about that. Right when in this, actually, we had momentum like this last year, leading up to right about the same time, and then at that point they delayed the UAP report, which I think took a lot of wind out of the sails of the movement. And then this year, now all of a sudden, just so happens we have all these wartime situations, which are obvious distractions. Starting off with the Chinese balloon at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of definitely distraction tactics in play, trying to take the wind out of the sails. Now, are you and obviously you talked about the whistleblowers, the 40 so plus whistleblowers. And I talk, some people have different feelings about how that, what type of news that is. Some people don't see it as any big news at all because they figure we'll never hear anything from any of their testimony. But myself, I looked at it as a positive because it actually does show that we have other people within these secret programs and in these government positions who really don't really have any incentive to do this, aside from showing that they are willing to attempt to help humanity and to move us towards disclosure. What is your opinion on the whistleblower? What side do you stand on? Do you think it's nothing because we'll never hear the information, or do you think it's overall helpful?
Oh no, I think it's just the initial wave that's going to break the dam, of disclosure blockade. I think that literally people are coming forward behind the scenes right now, of course. Um, but with David Grush opening up the beginning folly of showing what's really going on, I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen maybe sooner than most people think. I wouldn't be skeptical because the people haven't come forward into the public yet, because I think what it's doing you know, uh, as people will say, is that it's opening up a conduit, I think, for others to come forward as well. And when that happens, you know, that huge push is going to put that first domino over, literally, and then, you know, it's going to open the floodgate, because once the you know, the Congress or any kind of a governmental agency, you know, with authority is going to confirm all of this. Um, they can't just open up the door slightly. It's gonna slam wide open, and we're gonna have to ask and get answers to questions that everyone has had on the tip of their tongue, and now they have to address for sure. So, yeah, I'm very confident that it's going to happen, and maybe even sooner than we think. I think they're probably trying to uh, manage the trickle of disclosure. And I think at one point it's just going to overwhelm everybody and have to come out all at once.
Yeah. How you feel about that, Terry?
Oh, I agree. Totally agree. What I wanted to know is, in your book, Core Secrets, your new book about the Admiral Wilson
Yeah.
documents and so forth. Um, do you think that the actors behind the scenes of that are going to be part of the play that's happening now? The Admiral Wilsons, are they going to be brought forward and deposed on this?
Well, I tell you what, I believe so. I believe that those major players behind the scenes, um, maybe even Admiral Wilson himself, who knows? And of course, if anybody has read the smoking gun memo of the century that my client Grant Cameron discovered, literally from the estate of Edgar Mitchell's papers when he died, you know, where actually Eric Davis, the you know, the physicist that was got an interview with Admiral Wilson, literally, and confirmed the whole issue of the crashed retrieval programs, and the fact that we had possession of crashed UFOs, and Roswell happened, and you know, we've got dead bodies and even alien live bodies that were recovered from crashed UFOs. That's all in this famous memo that Grant Cameron discovered, and literally, I think I mean, I have heard rumors that some of those major players that are mentioned in the memo, in the actual you know, document itself, which is, by the way, is 15 pages, as you know, single spaced, and names and programs, you know, that are out there that have been operating in the black. Um, and I think a lot of that stuff is going to come out as well. Already been given to us, you know, a silver platter in this, you know, smoking gun memo of the century, which was, you know, coined by Richard Dolan as that famous kind of a situation where ufology is finally getting, you know, out into the open. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the possibility. Even Eric Davis, who knows if he's going to come out soon and confirm, like he has in the past, by the way, in front of Congress, you know, confirming that we have in our possession, the government, you know, crashed materials from UFOs. That's what Dr. Davis has actually confirmed himself. So, wouldn't that be something if we actually had, you know, some of those major players that are mentioned come forward and say, "Oh, yeah, this is true."
Yeah, you're right about that. And Admiral Wilson, right, who'd be the other key to the unlocking the Wilson Davis memo. So that would be fantastic to have those guys. Well, we already know Eric Davis has come, but Admiral Wilson would be a great plus. Now, Michael, we're going to stop right there because we have to get to break. So we're going to pause for break. We'll be right back asking more questions to our guest here with me, Mr. Rob G, and co-hosting duties for today, Mr. Terry Hall. And we'll be back in hour 2 right here at Spaced Out Radio. All right, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour number 2 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. And filling in for Nicole Coley Weber is Mr. Terry Hall, and we have our guest here, Mr. Michael Hall. We're going to be jumping into more questions here, and just to preface, if you guys have any questions for Michael, definitely put them in caps so I can check them off, and we will ask at the end of the hour. And before we jump back into our questioning here, to all the space travelers out there and family members, which you guys are all space travelers, consider taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join the SOR Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 by joining our Patreon. Get some official swag, spaced out swag at spacedoutradio.com. All right, back with our guest, Michael Hall. And Michael, I was, going through your bio information, and we just got finished talking about the whistleblowers at the end of the hour. And I know there was something that I read regarding like a whistleblower the disclosure trust that you had created or involved in. I wanted to see if you wanted to go over that and kind of explain that to the audience so we get a better understanding of what that is.
Yeah. It's I've been an attorney for almost 4 decades here, and literally I have been an estate planning attorney as well, and I'm quite familiar with trusts and probates and those kinds of issues, for a long time. So, when it came down to the idea that I had a few clients of mine. Specifically, it kind of all started with Grant Cameron, where when he came forward and told me back in it was January of 2019 that he had in his possession something that was going to be totally revolutionized as far as disclosure goes. We had to come up with an idea how to protect this poor guy, right? I mean, we literally had possession of, like the holy grail of ufology in this smoking gun, Wilson Davis memo from the Edgar Mitchell estate. And he and I were trying to determine literally from January or so of 2019 what to do with this thing. I mean, Rob and Terry, both of you guys, if you all of a sudden got in your possession a document that proves everything, that we already know, but this document confirms it all, what would you do? How would you determine whether, number one, if you disclose this, are you going to go to Guantanamo Bay, and spend the rest of your life in jail or federal custody, and or can you release it? And so we were trying to figure that out, and that's how I came up with the idea of creating a document. In a trust, you can create a document that you are not the owner of. For instance, it's called an irrevocable trust. And a whistleblower trust is kind of similar to that. What you do is you fund a legal entity like a trust with an object or a document or an artifact that you literally do not want to own yourself, but you want to eventually get it out to the public somehow. And you put it into a trust, name yourself a trustee that you trust, of course, to administer the trust and to have, anonymous ownership of it, for instance. And then what you do is what Grant did, of course, is he goes on local shows and national shows, and on Dave's show, actually Dave Scott was the first guy that would literally get a hold of Grant Cameron and have this thing broke across the world, when it actually happened, when he actually confirmed that he had the smoking gun memo of all time. It was on Spaced Out Radio. So that you guys have got a legacy here behind you that is just awesome, as far as being the beginning of the wave that is going to change the world.
That's amazing and actually genius to create something like that, so you don't have to actually have possession of the document to, protect yourself from any legal ramifications, and that's just a genius thing. Go ahead, Terry.
What I was wondering is, Michael, with the new legislation that's coming along that's supposed to be protecting the whistleblowers, that gets sidetracked in some way, shape, or form. I come from a military family, and I was always brought up to believe and taught to believe that in certain circumstances you could come forward as a matter of conscience. This is something that's been bothering me for quite a long time. Would it be possible, if this whistleblower thing doesn't come through, for people to come forward, say military people specifically, to come forward as a matter of conscience and still be within the law?
Well, I tell you what, probably not. They're going to have to basically break their NDAs, their oaths of, office if they're an officer or something like that. They're probably going to have to be, the only well, David Grush did the process that was laid out before him on how to do the whole idea of leaking information that wasn't classified, but it was, trying to be suppressed. And he went through the whole process of, going to the Attorney General's office, or the Inspector General's office. I'm sorry, that and actually tell them what's going on, and get their permission, even with the pre-publication office of the Pentagon permission, by the way, to actually come out and say what he said in front of Congress. So, yeah, Terry, it's a really conundrum for folks that are in the military to have to come out and potentially challenge their oaths that they've given, to protect the Constitution and the whole, chain of command that is there in the military, and how to do that without, triggering that point where you get court-martialed and are never seen again, that kind of thing.
Well, now I want to get a little more on the personal side. With your wide and varied career in this, being the legal and pretty much a founding member of UAPX, what is either your most standout experience that you've had, or the one that stands out the most to you?
My gosh, of course, there's all sorts of personal experiences that you come up with when you're in this field long enough. Seeing. I mean, even as a founding member of the UFOI team, we would go out and do sky watches and literally record, the phenomena that we see with night vision goggles, up in the night sky, that kind of stuff. So that stuff's impressive. But you know what? I think when we were doing the UAPX movie, A Tear in the Sky, when we were on Catalina Island and literally recording the phenomena that was flying over the Catalina Island Strait and over the island itself, and it was all captured in the movie, by the way. If anybody wants to go see, or bring it up on social media even now, you can find it, A Tear in the Sky. This was something that was phenomenal to witness ourselves, because you got to realize, when we do an expedition, sorry, with UAPX, you only have like a week, 5 days, whatever you have set aside to literally get all the material and the specialized devices that Dave Mason, has invented, on our team. to get out to the island and hopefully something would show up, right? We had no clue whether we were actually going to capture anything on tape. And of course, all the scientists that were with us, Mr. Sadakis and all those those physicists were there. They were just awe-inspired as well. We were lucky enough to be able to find those things on tape and record it for the film. So that was probably one of the highlights for me.
And that's pretty
awesome.
awesome.
We're gonna need to invite Michael out on one of our journeys. That's one of the things that I do. I'm in the rear with the gear most of the time, Michael. So that's actually one of the things we
Yeah.
do.
Well, I know.
We put together an RV that we loaded down with everything that we could possibly put into it. We just take it around the hot spots. And yeah, I've worked with Kevin and quite a few other folks. Yeah. But yeah, you're gonna have to come out with us one time or a number of times.
Oh, that'd be awesome, Terry. Yeah, you guys are famous as well for doing that kind of thing, and making it public. That's important. I think a lot of us go out and record these things ourselves and kind of put them up on our local websites or whatever. But yeah, it's fun for us to get out there and be able to share what's going on, literally above our heads almost every night. There is stuff going on, as you well know, that the general public doesn't really have time to go out and do. So it's good for all of us to do that. And thank both of you and Rob for what you guys do on the air, to get this word out as well, because it's just the beginning of a whole paradigm shift that we're going to experience very shortly.
Yeah, Michael, I actually wanted to point something out. You were talking about tearing the sky. And I want to say last week, actually, I have a channel as well where I've done a full video on my sighting. And it also showed sightings that were identical to mine's. And I kind of went over this last week on After Hours, so last Saturday show. And I wanted you to take a look when you get the time, and maybe we can talk afterwards about it. But I'm about 120 miles from Catalina Island. I'm up in Bakersfield, California. And I had a sighting where it was 47 of these objects. And I talked to Tim about this before, Tim Senor, and we both agree that these objects, plus the ones that I also show that are in the MUFON database, a few different sightings, that these objects potentially are the same things that were shown in Terror in the Sky as far as their behavior and their grouping. And I just wanted to see if maybe at some point you can watch last week's episode, last Saturday, Rob G's UFO sighting, and tell me if you feel the same way about that. Because if they are the same things, then maybe that, I don't know, it can maybe further what the investigation and chase for evidence that you had already done with Terror in the Sky, and maybe kind of correlate and tie these things together.
Oh, that would be really great, Rob. Yeah, I'd love to be able to do that. Matter of fact, I could pick your brain right now if you would allow me to.
Sure.
To just describe, because obviously anybody can go see the movie, or download it, the Terror in the Sky film. But explain to the viewing audience tonight, listening audience, what you described and these 47 objects look like. That would be fascinating for me to hear.
Sure. So if I had to give a description of what these things look like, they look like, if you've ever seen like a fishing bobbler, the bobblers that connect to the wire to the fishing line that have the hook on top and a hook on the bottom. So these things had would look like pipe-like objects sticking up out the top and then out of the bottom, and they were almost completely round. They were white, and the pipe objects that were sticking out were black, and they were floating. So they had a formation of a V initial. Well, first they were actually in a swarm, in a ball, in a cluster, and they were flying all within amongst each other in a ball, swarming each other. And then when I saw that, first I thought they were birds. Then we looked again and saw the sun shining off the objects. You could tell they were metallic. So I went in and grabbed my camera. By the time I did that, they left the ball and they were flying overhead in like a V formation. However, they were flowing against each other. So some were passing the others, some were coming like that. And I looked with my naked eye, and they were actual balls with these black pipe things sticking out the bottom. And then by the time they flew overhead, by the time I got them to say the 1 o'clock position, they all disappeared. And if you look on the film, I took the film and I broke it down frame by frame. And in one of the frames, there's one of these, I want to say like a squiggly sort of zigzag line in the sky. And where that was, it slowly moves across the sky. And where that was in the sky is literally where these things disappeared at. So it reminded me of the part in Terror in the Sky where they capture all those dots inside of that portal sort of thing, where they were all clustered in the portal thing. And so it just correlated those two things to me. However, they seem lifelike. So they were balls, but they seemed to be alive. And they were not orbs or lights like a lot of people see. Although I suspect, because this sighting was captured in August, it was 108 degrees that day, and the sun was at high noon, so broad daylight. But I think that these things maybe glow at night, and maybe that's kind of what the orb thing is. But they just behaved a lot like the Terror in the Sky objects as far as their movement, and then the clustering, and then the fact that they were, I guess, disappearing through this portal. And it's kind of what the same thing what these things did as well. Oh, I can't hear Terry. Are you talking? You're on mute.
Wow.
Actually, we've got
Um,
another member of the cast here that's a regular here on Spaced Out Radio, Tim Senor, Bainbridge Island Tic Tac, who had a tear in the sky as well.
yes. Hey, Tim, are you there?
No, Tim's not here with us this evening, unfortunately. I wish he was, because
Oh, I'm
the more
sorry.
of you guys that get together, this is fascinating to me. I've had my experiences, but never a tear in the sky.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating for me to hear Rob describe these objects, because obviously you have a unique experience in seeing these kinds of things in the daylight hours when, most of our sightings were captured, with, night vision and those kinds of things at night over Catalina Island. But it's fascinating to me to hear you describe, Rob, these objects with the little antennas or whatever you want to call them sticking out of them, because literally that's what Commander Fravor had described himself. I've spoken with him personally myself and found out that these little antenna-like things were sticking out of these tic tac objects, that literally he determined were probably about 40 feet long when you're seeing them up close and personal. Object. So that's a fascinating sighting that you've recorded yourself there. How close do you suppose maybe the objects were when you got the closest view of them?
Yeah, great question. So I would say probably maybe 1,000 feet, maybe at 1,000 feet. They were close enough for me to see clearly with the naked eye. I could make out the details, and the fact that every one of these objects, they all had the black object sticking out of it. And as Tim pointed out, because I had Tim look at this with me 6 months ago, and he pointed out the fact that in the video, some of these objects disappeared. So there's 47 at one count, then there's 45 at one count, and then they all disappeared, within a minute into the video. So,
Yeah. Well, I think that's amazing. That's such a close, sighting of those kinds of things. Probably the closest I've even heard of. So you're quite, in a small category of people who have gotten that kind of up close and personal glimpse at what's going on, and the fact that they all disappeared like before your very eyes, and maybe even into a portal. It's just overwhelming that this stuff is happening around us, and we're actually able now to record some of these happenings, in front of our very eyes. So congratulations to you for being able to do that.
yeah, thank you very much. And I know you work. Are you currently an investigator with MUFON?
I'm not a field investigator for MUFON, but
Okay.
I've been a what they call a consultant, a legal consultant, of course, for
Okay.
MUFON since about 1995, and it's been fun to be able to even go to conferences, with clients of mine like Peter Davenport, of the National UFO Reporting Center, and those kinds of folks that have been involved with MUFON for forever. And I think it's great that we're pushing forward, on this agenda of breaking down the disclosure firewall here.
Well, Michael, now that we've gotten past the disclosure firewall, as you said, and the nuts and bolts part of this, where do you think the next step lies? Is it with, let's say, contactees, or do we go back in time and take a look at some of the things that have been dismissed offhand because of the silliness that's involved? In other words, it doesn't matter which hat that I wear, whether I have an attorney's cap on or if I have a cowboy hat on. Some of the things that we've had described to us have been pushed away out of hand because of Farmer John or something like that. Do you think the next step in this is not so much with the nuts and bolts part of it, because we know the industries that those are going to disrupt possibly, but do you think it's now with contactees? Is it the consciousness side of it that we need to be looking at on this now?
Well, that's exactly Grant Cameron's stance, and has been for a long time. That when he discovered the whole, issue was a reality that we've all, wondered about for the last, decades or so. He literally said the next step is going to be consciousness raising, and the key to all of it was our consciousness, and we're all connected somehow through that. So I think you're right. I think that the whole idea of what we need to do is not necessarily, try to, we need to go inside ourselves as well, and kind of bring out our own, powers that we have that we don't normally use, and kind of project ourselves into the future that we want to have. So I think that's a key that we're going to have to explore, all of us, individually and collectively.
So is it, do you believe it's kind of like, well, what's popular right now is the secret, or speaking things into existence.
Yeah, yeah.
As one who's been down that road, where I've just kind of put it out there, and whatever we've needed, say for UAPRG, our little field experience group just seems to fall into our lap mysteriously. Um,
Yeah. Is
it, do
isn't
you,
that fun, Terry, when you actually go out and you bring intent with you, of course, when you guys go out on in the field. with your equipment and your recording capabilities and stuff. And it's almost as if that intent really works. You know, people talk about CE5 and protocols and all of those things that you know, they try to show to you know, bring contact, you know, down to an individual, you know, capability. But I think intent is the main thing. The universe, it seems, is willing to give you the information you need or seek if you are bringing pure intent to the fro here when we go out. So I think you're right. I think that is how we need to explore, you know, our inner capabilities and intentions, and kind of use that subtleness that happens on a daily basis. You know, the synchronicities that happen that we kind of just go through life and not even take advantage of or you know, pay attention to. I think
Mhm.
that's going to be the key of all of us trying to get together and pushing the agenda forward. And then, of course, at one point, ET is going to have to make a decision on their own of how much they want to you know, bring forth the disclosure, you know, curtain and peek through it themselves. I think if they decide at one point, they being whoever they are, I mean, obviously there's more than one race out there that are doing this. If they decide they want to, you know, make it all known, they could do that immediately.
So, Michael, in order to keep the toothpaste out of the tube, where do you think the onus falls? Does the onus fall on uh, non-human intelligence? Does it fall on Congress? Does it fall on the public? Where do you think it falls on?
Well, I think in reality, we, you know, if you take a poll of the general public in the world, in the United States, you know, there's a massive amount of people who believe in this whole subject. You know, literally, it's well over, you know, maybe 75% or 60% at least of the folks believe that there's life on other planets out there. So, you know, the consciousness. Groundwork has already been done in the minds of the public out there. So at one point, I don't know if you guys have any children yourself, but I've got four adult children, and literally they are basically already there as far as the idea that you know, the whole world is changing. You know, the literal you know, rules or guidelines of the old days are not necessarily what they need to follow. And literally they are already at that cosmic level themselves, a lot of the youth out there. So I think at one point it's just going to overwhelm the whole system and not be able to be suppressed any longer.
I have to go along with that 100%. I mean, you've seen what 10 years ago, 20 years ago would have been the effect of a David or a Commander Favor or a Kevin Day, to whereas it's old hack now. They drop it in, and there's not even your pulse, at least. Well, my pulse rate goes up when I hear somebody like that, but the general consensus, it's not getting the traction that it should. What do you think is preventing it from getting the traction that it should?
Well, obviously, we know that there is a power out there that is kind of suppressing all of this and has been for over 80 years. But I tell you what, I think there are, as we all know, you know, white hats and black hats and gray hats, you know, even in the Pentagon. And basically, I think it's a war behind the scenes for those powers that be on what's going on. I think that the white and gray hats, or anybody who's a gray hat who's trying to figure out, you know, what do I do with my career? I'm in the middle of all this. I can't disclose everything I know. But I think they're slowly becoming white hats and determining that it's no longer viable to be suppressed, you know, even with NDAs that they might have signed or oaths of office. So I think it's going to be happening soon. I'm wondering if there's a deadline out there that has been given, to the planet. Who knows? If there is a cosmic federation out there of planets who literally, get together periodically and say, well, listen, it's about time that those folks on Earth, come here and join the cosmic community. And so we're going to give them a deadline, the powers that be, to either make it happen themselves or allow us to come down and make it happen. So I'm assuming that is going to happen quite shortly here with all of the disclosure that's been going on, since the 2017 New York Times article and other things like that. It's just amazing to think that this is happening so quickly, given the history that we've all gone through of suppression over the years. So I'm kind of optimistic myself.
And I was just about to say that you seem pretty optimistic about the fact that we're moving towards disclosure, and you expect that to be sometime soon. And I feel the same way. And I wanted to ask this question to you because I don't think a lot of people look at this question, and I want to know, because I believe it's coming as well. What do you envision for? In your opinion, what do you envision for the moment disclosure gets here? So post disclosure, as far as the governmental structure and the way that things are, what do you anticipate as the changes or the new reality once we step onto the other side? Like in a perfect world, or just in your vision, do we continue on the same path that we're on as far as the structure of our governments, and just what do you envision post disclosure?
So, what are the repercussions of disclosure, huh, Rob?
Pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
is it business as usual, or what do you see there?
Well, Rob, you're just the perfect host here, because you've given me now an introduction to bring out my newest project that I'm working on, which is a new book, by the way, and it's called UFOs and the 21st Century Church. Can you
Cool.
imagine? The whole
Cool.
idea, I think, is that when disclosure happens, um, there is going to be a major paradigm shift that Christians and local faith-based people are going to go through, and how to get over the idea that in reality there are life on other planets. God possibly didn't just create, us here on Earth as the center of the universe. Obviously, that's going to be a paradigm shift for the local churches. And my thought is, if we lose the local church congregations because, all of a sudden when disclosure happens, their pastors are sitting there with, nothing really to say, on how to respond on a faith-based basis to this new reality, we're going to be in trouble as a society if that happens. So what I figure I would try to do, I've been, a faith-based guy my entire life. I was vice president of the Puget Sound Christian College, during my career as well. And I thought, well, we need to figure out how to get faith-based people over this hump of disclosure when it does happen, because it's coming shortly. And I don't know what the local pastor of the Baptist church or the Methodist church on the corner or the Catholic church, priest is going to do when that happens. How are they going to face their congregations on Sunday morning or Saturday night, wherever they gather, to determine, what the next subject is going to be from the pulpit. So I think that is going to be a very important thing to determine, not just with faith-based people. We've got the entire general population out there that will be so shocked, with some of the things that are happening, that we need to prepare them, I think, ahead of time.
Great,
Well,
great
maybe that
answer.
could be your next Up with People project, Michael.
Yeah.
Man, you guys have gone through that resume really well there for the bio. Thank you much, yeah, for the old days. I was really fortunate enough to travel around the world with the group Up with People in the 70s, literally, and Up with People was a non-denominational international group of 120 kids from around the world. Oldest one on the road with us was 25, our cast director, Dale Penny at the time. And we literally, put a 2-hour show together to go around the world and bring people together, from all walks of life and faith. And it was just a fun musical show if anybody hasn't seen it.
It's a fun part of my childhood, Michael. I never will forget it. I never will forget it. Now,
Awesome.
with your wide and varied, I mean, you've lived an amazing life. What would be the one gift out of ufology that you would want to take away after all of your experience with this? What's the end goal for Michael Hall?
Well, I think the end goal for all of us is to try to get back to the source, whatever the source is. Obviously, we've learned, I think, over the years, and maybe this is my takeaway from my experiences here on the planet so far, is that we just don't end. If indeed we do die, we are going to just transition to something else. I really believe that now, given the fact that all of the experiences that contactees have given us, people who have been abducted potentially and come in personal contact with ETs or, had any communication at all. It all shows that we kind of just, maybe rent time in these bodies here on this planet, for a period of time. 80, 90 years, that seems like a long time to live, but it's just a split second, when you're talking, eternity. So in reality, I don't know that any energy just stops. Obviously it just kind of transitions to something else. So I think that's what I have learned, and hopefully I can, bring that out to maybe the general public, in a way at all with what I've done, but some of the books I've written. And it's something that I think each of us are going to face eventually, as we transition to whatever happens after death.
Awesome. Another awesome answer there, Michael. And it's wild listening to some of your responses to these questions, because I've on my own separate channel, I would do a late night call-in show, usually right after this show. And last night I was giving my opinion on that, and I feel the same way as far as we talked about, the whole reincarnation thing and people's idea that we come back here every time and we, kind of talked about how using common sense is probably the key to figuring out a lot of this stuff. And we also talked about the energy that is our essence that makes up us. That once we do get to the point to where we leave these bodies, that it probably does go and essentially probably go out somewhere else, and we continue on at some other point, because I feel like, and I said this last night, that our energies are all connected into the bigger energy of what powers like the earth and the universe, and it's all the same energy that we're plugged into. So it's kind of, validating to hear you make the statement like you just did. So awesome statement. I really appreciate it. And what I wanted to do, because there was a point I looked at in your bio that I had questions about, which was space law, and I just wanted to see if it correlates to what I was thinking it was. So, can you explain the space law part of that?
Yeah, well, great question, Rob. the whole idea of space law, which I've termed the term exo jurisprudence, basically the idea of space law. You know, the whole conflict of law issues out there that we're going to face very shortly, I believe, with the fact that you know what, our common law here on the planet, you know, the even the Ten Commandments, you know, the laws that have been passed down and modified and used in generations of, you know, societies on the planet. What if that is totally unique or different than whatever cosmic law is? You know, if there is definitely a federation of planets out there that you know, maybe help in our parsec of the universe, you know, the Milky Way, you know, configuration that we're in right now. What if cosmic law is a little different than our common law here on the planet? We're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to find out. You know, I always think of the bar scene in the Star Wars movie with all the different, you know, races of people that are sitting there, you know, commingling with one another, you know, in a barroom scene. What if, you know, the certain protocols that are normally demanded between races on certain planets, you know, are totally bizarre that we have no concept of, and we don't, like, for instance, you know, when we shake hands, you know, literally you raise it, you put out your right hand and try to, you know, bring some kind of a contact or whatever with someone you meet. What if that is like totally different or uh, foreboding, for instance, on another planet or in another species? So that's the whole idea, Rob, of the conflict of law issues that I've termed as exo jurisprudence, you know, that we're going to have to be dealing with. I've even approached my local state bar association to try to create a local section of our bar, you know, called space law, and try to get other attorneys and you know, people that are into the law to think even bigger on a cosmic level of how the heck we're going to deal with this down the road, you know?
Totally awesome.
When we wrote the first space accords back in 60, can't remember when it was, you know, we're not going to put nukes out into space and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, After the Star Wars project, you brought up Star Wars. After the Star Wars project with President Reagan, does that still hold true, Michael? The original accords?
Well, I think probably as it deals with various Earth-based countries and organizations. I mean, we're dealing with now private contractors, you know, like Elon Musk and others
Hmm.
that actually go into space themselves now, and of course countries like you know, India and you know, various other organizations and countries that have already done this, China as well. So I think within that framework, those accords are still in effect, of course, probably modified over the years as well. Um, but you know, we can go all the way back to even before that with you know, the supposed meeting you know, with President Eisenhower of the alien races, then supposedly a Grenada treaty or whatever they want to call it back then, that was made between our governments and supposedly the ETs, and of course then in the, you know, the Venusian Valiant Thor, who literally was a Pentagon guest for 3 years, was trying to get some kind of a treaty himself between, you know, President Eisenhower and of course Vice President Richard Nixon was there at that time as well. Between our countries of the planet when he was here, supposedly, this was a real guy. I mean, this was an actual person who claimed to be from Venus, who literally believed, by the way, in the Christian belief of Jesus Christ. I mean, this was a guy who literally said that from Venus, and came up with the whole idea as well of a global accord that needs to be, brought into a cosmic level. So I think you're way ahead of the curve there, both of you.
When we get to that point, do you think? Uh, I mean, we know that it's going to cause if ET is parked in our atmosphere. Are we going to get to the point of Earthlings, or are we still going to be the individual warlike things that we are now?
Yeah, good point. Well, I think what's going to happen when actual contact like that does happen, I think there will be an instant connection with each one of us on an individual consciousness level. There would have to be. Otherwise, mass panic would break out, obviously. But if ETs are telepathic and can actually, communicate with our minds, I think that might happen eventually, right away. If that is going to happen, because obviously they realize what could happen if the world panics. And we've been prepared, I believe, over the generations for contact. If you remember the researcher, and surgeon, Dr. Roger Lear, and when he
Hmm.
came up with his whole idea of alien, artifacts being taken out of human bodies, that typically could be communication devices or whatever. He also did a study himself on um, the statistics of babies when they're born. I don't know if you remember him talking about this, but literally he said he's done an 80-year kind of like statistical analysis of children when they're born, and the fact that their growth is different now. It's much
Hmm.
accelerated. Their capabilities, for instance, when babies are born, they record the first time they can lift their head or roll over or those kinds of issues. It's been blown off the charts lately with the actual statistics of the new generations that are being born. So I think we're all being prepared somehow, and even on a consciousness level for the idea of contact.
Wow. And so this is what one thing that I always pondered, piggybacking off the last couple things you guys said. I did. I've gone over a topic of intergalactic capitalism, and just essentially if the model that we run here on Earth, if that, and it kind of goes to the point you made earlier, if that trans with the space law, if that translate, if our model that we run here translates intergalactically, so we take our current model of capitalism and just the way that the governments run the world, does that translate into the galactic community? I feel like it doesn't. And so, if that's the case, then we don't have a plan to restructure the way that we are currently running things here. Then the question is, are we actually even ready to join that Galactic Federation? And unfortunately, it seems like no, even though we're like right on the cusp of being able to take that step with disclosure or confirmation almost being imminent at this point, and we'll be forced into that next stage, but we're not actually ready, I feel like, to take what we have now to the galactic level. So if we don't have a plan for that, like how do you feel about that, and what would be your idea of a way that we could maybe change what's going on in order to prepare ourselves to step out there in that way?
Well, I tell you what, Rob, I think we are much more ready than we believe, each of us individually. I think the powers that be on the planet here have suppressed our capabilities of knowing the truth for so long, that literally we have developed our own capabilities individually to prepare ourselves for whatever is going to happen with disclosure. So I think we've been suppressed over the decades, with our psychic and social and consciousness capability. And I think the new generations prove that point, that they probably will not are gonna have a problem at all with disclosure when it happens, and they're probably pretty naturally aware of the fact that there are life on other planets and things beyond the Earth that they can deal with much easier than some of us old folks here. But yeah, literally, I think we are ready to do that even more than we think. And given the capability of being able to exercise those powers of cognitive connection, I think we could do that very naturally if it happened, and we have this abilities, to suppress the suppressors out there.
Mm. Great
Well,
answer again. You got some, Terry?
that brings me to a point, Michael.
Yeah.
There's been this 80 years, deal with the government according to what we know now as being a cover-up. Could the reasoning behind it be the term Galactic Federation itself? Because when you think of a federation, that's would be one group against another group. Could that be the reasoning behind the tamping down of the information to keep us away from maybe a galactic war?
Yeah, those are unique possibilities, Terry, that we need to start thinking about, and that's exactly what I'm talking about with exo-jurisprudence. The whole idea that a galactic federation might have a whole new thought pattern of the planet that we live on ourselves. I mean, obviously, if there is a group out there that kind of runs this local neighborhood in the Milky Way that we're all a part of, as we all know, when you get a committee together, you got a lot of different points of view, right? And obviously, we're going to be dealing with the whole idea that if we even have a representative on the Galactic Council, that person or whoever that is going to be probably in a small minority compared to whatever the consensus is out there. I always love, the book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The whole idea that, oh my God, there's a galactic freeway going right through our section of the Milky Way, and the Earth is going to be destroyed, anyway. So what do we have to worry about? That kind of stuff. That just expands your mind right there to think of those kinds of things. And I love the author of that book and what he came up with in the putting into popular form so we can think about those things. So, yeah, I think, Terry, you're right on there. That is going to be an issue that we're going to all literally have to start dealing with, and realizing that, hey, we have a president of the United States. We have representatives, from each one of our local necks of the woods here, right here, as congressmen and senators. But what if we have galactic ambassadors who we're going to have to deal with, or even bring to the table ourselves some kind of a small minority, point of view to the general Galactic Council? That's going to be fascinating for me. I'm looking forward to doing that, and I sure would like to I would like to volunteer to be a page, for one of these galactic, ambassadors. Yeah, and try to just, follow them around a little bit, and see what's going on.
Michael, you're going to have to come to Reno this year to the SOR gathering. I will buy you the steak just so I can sit across the table from you and pick your brain. That would be a phenomenal evening for me.
Oh man, that would be great for me too. I would love to be able to try to do that. You guys have always been, quite a force when you guys show up, at the SOR gathering, each year. That is just a fun event.
Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure. I mean, I hate the time has run out like this. We're at our last break.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure meeting you and talking to you today, and I really hope we can do this again sometime soon. And Mr. Terry Hall, I really thank you for coming in and standing in for as co-host today. Do you have anything, Michael? Where can everybody find you at?
Well, you can always Google the term "the paranormal lawyer." That will pop up to my Facebook page typically at Michael W. Hall. You can always find me there, and if you need to get a hold of me, you can email me through that portal as well. Thank you guys, both Rob and Terry. You guys are just awesome hosts in being able to bring the questions forth that a guest like myself tries to get out, but really doesn't have all the promptings particularly. So thank you again for what you've done tonight.
No
Thank
problem.
you,
Thank
Michael.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming and providing an awesome interview. Everybody, that is Mr. Michael Hall, the paranormal liar, a lawyer, amongst a lot of other things, and we will be having him back soon. So thank you again, Michael. And right now it's time to pause for the cause with our last break of the night as we get ready to jump into hour 3 on Spaced Out Radio. We're gonna do some fun things. It's Sunday. We're getting ready for the work week, and we started off kind of strong. And let's lighten the mood and have a little fun. So we'll be right back. Hour number 3. You guys just be patient. I'll be right back. Space Out Radio. Thank you.
Thank you.
myself back up on camera here. Bring me front and center. All right. So welcome to Spaced Out Radio After Hour number 3 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. And for the final hour, we're going to just lighten the mood. You know, we started off with the family talk and it was kind of deep. So for the last hour, you know, you're getting into the work week. Let's have a little bit of fun. We did this a couple weeks back, which is our Spaced Out Trivia. And I kind of want to jump into a little more of that tonight and see if we can get a new winner. Last winner was Susie B. She crushed it. This time, what we're going to do is, because it is the Halloween season, at least here in America and any other places that recognize Halloween, we're in the season and we're in that mood. So what I want to do is get some trivia going, maybe see who the winner is this week. And then we'll finish it off with a little weird, wacky news for this hour. So you guys definitely stay tuned. And first of all, let me say this to all the space travelers out there: consider taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 by joining Patreon. Get some official swag at spacedoutradio.com. And let me go ahead and get a little trivia background music going here. Let me know if that's too loud for anybody out there. How is the music? Is it too loud? Let me know. Somebody let me know. Is that perfect? Perfect ambiance? Give me something here. Give me something here. Carl Bittner, you mean the song that played over the break? I'm not sure what that song is. I'm sure I could find out. I'll let you know at a later time. Okay, good. Susie B is good. Okay, great. So yeah, let's lighten the mood. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. You know what I mean? This time what we're going to do, you know, we did UFO trivia and we did some cryptid trivia as well on another day. This time we're going to do trivia related to horror movie franchises. So if there's any horror movie buffs out there, W. Decker can't hear any music. It's very light, W. Decker in the background. And okay, so yeah, we're going to get into some horror franchise trivia. I'm a Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street person, just so you know, and a Michael Myers Halloween person. I'm a really a slasher person, period, I guess. Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, and Leatherface. Those are my guys, right? So I'm gonna start off. I had something here. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. So let me check the chat so I can make sure I get the first person that gives the answer. I kind of have to let the chat settle because it kind of mixes everything up. All right, so here we go. Get your fingers ready, and no voice to chat cheating. Everybody's using their fingers out there. Derek, you said you had the right. Yeah, Derek, no voice to chat this week, man. Come on, let's use them fingers, man. Let's use them fingers. All right, so first question. In which 1973 horror film does the family face supernatural events after moving in to a haunted house? What 1973 horror film does the family face supernatural events after moving into a haunted house? What is the name of that movie? I do not see the answer yet. Nope, nothing there, nothing yet. 1973 horror film. Family face supernatural events after moving into a haunted house. I will give you a clue. I will give you a clue. Holy water. Okay, Rich Buddy got it. Rich Buddy got it. I missed it. He put it in there. Rich Buddy did get it. Where's his name here? So let me go ahead and save his answer. It is The Exorcist. The Exorcist. Good job, Rich Buddy. Rich Buddy's up 1 on everybody else. Question number 2. This should be pretty easy. What is the name of the killer in the 1978 slasher film directed by John Carpenter? What is the name of the killer in the 1978 slasher film directed by John Carpenter? John Carpenter is the clue. 1978 slasher film directed by John. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do because I know Paranormal Pixie. I know what you were saying, Paranormal Pixie, and I'm gonna give you that one. But just for future, you have to give the whole answer because it's actually Michael Myers. Michael Myers. But I'll give it Paranormal Pixie Laura. So let me tag her answer here. All right. Next question here. Next question. Okay. This is a good one. Which 1991 horror film directed by Jonathan Demme features an imprisoned cannibalistic serial killer? 1991 horror film. Imprisoned cannibalistic serial killer. I know everybody should. Oh, okay. Right off the back. Okay, good. I do see good answer here. The chat mixes up, so let me make sure. Okay, it looks like Here I Am, Silence of the Lambs is the correct answer. So Kira's up 1. All right. Yeah, Hannibal was great. Spiritual Odyssey. So, right. Next question. Oh, okay. People should get this one too. This is going to be pretty easy. I'm going to have to read it fast so no one has an advantage. Okay, so question number 4. What 1980 film tells the story of a family who experiences paranormal activity in a haunted hotel? In a haunted hotel, 1980 films. Story of a family who experiences paranormal activity in a haunted hotel. Okay, let me let the chat settle here, and it looks like Van Gogh. It is The Shining. Let's see, here's Johnny, right? Got it. Love it. Okay. This should be, I'm going to say this one fast too, because you probably get it off the first few words here. Okay, I'll ask it in this way. What is the movie title? It's a 1974 film. A Texas family falls victim to a group of cannibalistic killers. 1974 film, Texas family falls victim to a group of cannibalistic killers. Yep. I do see it in the chat. Let me make sure that is the first. Okay, that is going to be Lex Diaz. with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. Fun fact was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you really look at it, they didn't show any of the actual cutting. I'll say just cutting. They didn't show any of that in that first movie. However, it was still horrific, and you kind of just envisioned it in your mind. So, but if you go back and look, they never showed any of that directly. So, pretty interesting for it to be a cult classic. Okay. Yeah. And I passed through Texas Browndorf on my trip, and I tried just recently, if you recall, when I went, and I tried to route my trip to go ahead and go see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, because the original house, they moved from the original location to another part of Texas, and now it's an actual restaurant now. But then they also had the house from the newer Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, and that one's still in its original location, but didn't get to go. I'll go next time. All right. So next question. Oh, I thought this was a different year. Maybe call this out. Okay, what movie, which portrayed a found footage film, documents the eerie events surrounding 3 student filmmakers in Maryland? Found footage film documents the eerie events surrounding 3 student filmmakers in Maryland. Yeah, let's see. It would be Van Gogh. Van Gogh with the Blair Witch Project, which was, when I first saw it, you know how, if you remember that time, you remember it was portrayed to be like a real film. And let me make sure I got this. Let me go back here. I think. Okay, I did do that. All right. 74 film. Okay, I got it. All right. Yeah. So they had a whole list of found footage films. Paranormal Activity was another one, which is really good. So, okay. Next question. What is the title of this isn't really a horror, but it's in this list of questions. No, I'm gonna skip that one. That's not a horror movie. All right. Which 1996 film directed by Wes Craven features a serial killer who taunts his victims with phone calls? 1996 film directed by Wes Craven features a serial killer who taunts his victim with phone calls. Yep. Let's see. I think we got, okay, yeah, looks like, yep. W. Decker. W. Decker got it. It is Scream. Scream. Some of the other Screams weren't that great, but I think the latest Scream they came out with kind of brought it back to its original form. So I liked it. I actually did like it. Rest in peace to Wes Craven too, man. One of the greats. All right. What is the name of the 1960 Alfred Hitchcock film that centers around a secretary who embezzles money and checks into a secluded motel? 1960 Alfred Hitchcock film that centers around a secretary who embezzles money and checks into a secluded motel. Yeah. At first, I thought I was thinking birds too, but it looks like Van Gogh got it. It's actually the movie Psycho, which has the infamous shower scene. The infamous shower scene, which is just to this day, and then the score behind it as well, and in the blood curdling scream, iconic, epic, iconic. Van Gogh, Psycho. Oh no, you guys, man, Van Gogh is might be running away with this thing. Okay. Oh, this one's a little more obscure. Let's see who gets this one, really. In a 2004 film, a group of people encounter malevolent forces while staying at a remote cabin. What is the movie's title? 2004 film, a group of people encounter malevolent forces while staying at a remote cabin. What is the movie's title? Ah, we see the answer in here. Yep, on top of it. Looks like our previous champion, our reigning. Oh, wait. No, yeah, you got it wrong, Van Gogh. Our reigning champion, Susie B, Cabin in the Woods. Susie B's on the board. I don't really recall that movie. I don't know if I saw it or not to be able to comment on that. Yeah, same with you, Spiritual Odyssey. Never watched that one. It's kind of obscure, more obscure. Should be the movie title, whole movie title. Yeah, in Cabin in the Woods, I think it's The Cabin in the Woods. Yeah. And I think, isn't that what she put, Cabin in the Woods? Yeah, Susie B put Cabin in the Woods. All right. Okay, so here we go. Oh, okay. Which 1987 film involves a young boy? No, it's a young girl. Well, 1987 is not, I don't think it's 87. We'll leave the year out. What film involves a young girl who communicates with malevolent spirits through a television set? Van Gogh. It is Poltergeist. They're here. I remember I was pretty young at the time, and that movie was kind of scary to me, especially at the end with the pool and then the skeletons coming out of the ground. Yeah, that part was for me was pretty scary as a kid. Didn't tag that. Make sure I tag that. All right. Oh, what is the title of the 2013 film that revolves around a family terrorized by doppelgangers? 2013 film, family terrorized by doppelgangers. This one was pretty creepy. Ooh, not the other Susie B. Doppelgangers. 2013, a family was terrorized by doppelgangers. And the year could be wrong. I'm gonna leave the year out because sometimes they're wrong. So scratch. Okay, yeah. Let me do a fact check on that real quick. Because I don't know if the year is wrong. It might be. Let's see. If the year is wrong, 1 second here. Yeah. Year was wrong, so I got to give that to. Yeah, I have to give that to Van Gogh. Van Gogh was the first one to put it, but the year was wrong in the question. So you did pick it. So I have to give it to you, because the question was not asked the right way. So it is us. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to do that one. Okay. What film based on a Stephen King novel features a shape-shifting entity that often takes the form of a clown? All right. Paranormal Pixie Laura. Got it. It's going to be, it's going to be It. Which the first one was scarier than the second one, in my opinion. And the second one was released to TV. So imagine that, right? But the first one was definitely more scarier to me. The guy who played the part of the clown was just crazy scary. All right. What 88. What film involves a child who sees dead people and seeks the help of a psychologist? Sees dead people. That's a huge clue. What film involves a child who sees dead people and seeks the help of a psychologist? Yep. Lavera Lucchini. It is Sixth Sense. It is Sixth Sense. Okay. Oh, this is one of my favorite movies. Truthfully, like newer, sort of semi. It's really not newer. I'm just actually old at this point, and it seems like it was yesterday it came out. But what film does a videotape bring a curse, causing the viewer to receive a phone call with a mysterious voice saying 7 days? What film does a videotape bring a curse, causing the viewer to receive a phone call with the mysterious voice saying 7 days? Yes. And it's creepy. Lex Diaz got it. Very creepy movie. Okay. Especially how the thing came up out of the well. Very, very creepy. This is one of the more modern movies that still today is pretty scary if you watch it in the dark. Let's see. Okay. Which film adaptation of a Stephen King novel centers around a telekinetic girl who faces bullying at school? What film adaptation of a Stephen King novel centers around a telekinetic girl who faces bullying at school? Oh, okay. Lex Diaz. That's the movie Carrie. She went to the prom and kind of tore things up. Yeah. Carrie was no joke. A lot of ladies that let's see, Come on, I was first. Please look up. On which one, Spiritual Odyssey? Is the StreamYard chat? Spiritual Odyssey, which question was that for? Talking to you, Spiritual Odyssey. Which question were you first on? Talking to Spiritual Odyssey. Real quick, or we'll move on. Okay. If you let me know, I'll go back and look at a Spiritual Odyssey. But let me see. Next question. Don't know if you knew that one. Never heard of that one. It's one of my favorites here. Okay. In this film, a group of friends are terrorized by malevolent spirits that possess their cabin. What movie is this? I'll give you a clue. They had to lock up one of their friends in the cellar. Because the friend turned into a zombie. And they had to chain it. And then the friend kept trying to get out. Then he cut his hand off and his hand was walking around like this. Yes. Yeah. Looks like Lex Diaz was the first to answer that one. Evil Dead, which the original one is still scary, even though the effects are kind of cheesy today. But if you watch the new Evil Dead, it was actually really good. And I heard they use like 60,000 gallons of blood or something like that in that movie in order to do the movie. So it is just blood throughout the movie. So good one to watch this Halloween season. Put it on your list if you haven't seen it, the new one. Or if you've seen the new one, you don't remember the old one, go back and watch the old one, the original. Okay. This is on the newer side. This was released within, I'd say, the last 10 years. What is the name of a film directed by John Krasinski about a family trying to survive in a world overrun by creatures that hunt by sound? So the creatures hunt by sound. Ooh, pretty close, ABWC. I think I almost gave it away with that, but you're pretty close, ABWC. It's not shh. Your first answer was more close to that. Okay, here we go. Yes. I do see the answer. This one was pretty out the box. I really, I like this one too. This one was actually pretty good. It is A Quiet Place. And I think they have A Quiet Place Part 2 now as well, if I'm not mistaken. So Lex Diaz got that. And we'll be tallying up these here shortly. Let me go ahead and do that. Okay. In the 1993 film, a writer becomes trapped in a remote hotel, or I don't know, it was a house, a remote house during a snowstorm and unravels a sinister secret. What is the movie's title? The writer becomes trapped and kidnapped, really. You want to be truthful. Yeah, Susie B. Broken ankles is right. Yeah. The movie, let's see who answers it. Oh, I saw who answered it first. Yeah. It is Lavera Lucchini. Make sure that's the first one I see on the list. Yeah. That would be Misery. Classic. And he couldn't go anywhere because she broke his ankles. No spoilers, but yeah, she made sure he wouldn't be able to leave. And then you'll see what happens after that. You should go back and watch it this holiday season. Okay, let's see. Boom. Okay, we got that one. Let me make sure we have a couple more. Okay. That was it. Okay. What film does a family witness strange occurrences after moving into a new home built on a former cemetery? This came out last decade, last 10 years, roughly. A family witnessed strange occurrences after moving into a new home built on a former cemetery. Nope, not that, Susie B. This is in the last 10 years, this film. It's part of a series of films that have released in the last 10 years. This might be a pass. Nope, not seeing it. So I'll give it to you. This one is Insidious. It was Insidious. All right, what is the title of a 1984 film about a serial killer who haunts teenagers in their dreams? (1984) film, Wes Craven film, serial killer who haunts teenagers in their dreams. Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. What's the name of the movie? Okay. Here we go. Lex Diaz. All right. It is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Fun fact, this movie, when it came out, I was a really little kid, and my dad was going to watch the movie, and the trailer, if you go back and watch the original trailer for this movie, the one they were showing on TV at the time, was so scary that they were going to the drive-in. I was so scared I didn't want to go, but everybody else was going. So my dad was like, okay, we'll stay home. And if Freddy Krueger knocks on the door, make sure to use the bathroom, make sure you let him in. And yeah, I was pretty horrified. It's hilarious, right? That's hilarious. So let me see. Pretty hilarious. Okay. Which 1992 film by Bernard Rose is based on a novella by Clive Barker and involves a killer with a hook for a hand? Killer with a hook for a hand. In a trench coat. Mm-hmm. Yep. Say his name 3 times, you're in trouble. You say his name 3 times, and yeah. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go back and watch it. It is Candyman. Candyman. I won't say it again. Because he He brings the drama. All right. What is the title of a 2013 film about a woman who is tormented by a malevolent spirit after a paranormal investigation? And I'll give you a clue. It was the investigators was a married couple, a man and a lady. What movie was that? Based on a true story. A woman tormented by a malevolent spirit after a paranormal investigation. There we go. I see it in here. Yeah. It is The Conjuring. We talked about, who is it? The Warrens. So based on some of their actual cases, which is pretty... Yeah, they had a number of movies where they portray cases that they've gone through. And I know Annabelle is one. But it's The Conjuring. Okay. I don't know that one. People won't know that one. And I don't think anyone knows that one. All right. Let's go ahead and tally this thing up. Let's tally this thing up and see who the winner is. All right. So, see, we had Rich Buddy who got one. Yeah, Paranormal Pixie Laura, who according to this list got 2. We have Kira, who looks like she got 1. We have Van Gold, who looks like six. Van Gold with 6. Lex Diaz. Ooh, Lex Diaz was 6. I'm gonna have a question off. Van Gold and Lex Diaz both with 6. Let's see. W. Decker got 1. Our reigning champ Susie B got 1. Let's see. Libera Lucchini got 1, 2. Make sure. Yep, 2. See, it's Lex Diaz, and Derek Galloway got 1. Okay. So it looks like it's a question off between Van Gold and Lex Diaz. So first of you two to answer this question takes it all home. Let me. Okay, this is a good one. Van Gold, Lex Diaz. Here we go. In the 1990 film, a group of friends terrorized by a malevolent entity taking on various forms. What is the movie? No, don't worry about that one. There's too many. It doesn't give you enough clues for you to know that question. So scratch that one. Let me see. Let me make sure the question. Okay, this one gives enough clues. So, which 2003 film directed by Takashi Shimizu involved a cursed house in Japan where gruesome events occur? Very scary movie. 2003 film by Takashi Shimizu involves a cursed house in Japan where gruesome events occur. Yeah, this okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Lex Diaz. It's The Grudge. Still scary to this day. Actually, they did The Grudge Part So the original Grudge, then they had the Japanese version of the Grudge, which was just as scary. Then they had the Grudge Part 2, which was like, Then they had the remake of the Grudge Part 1. The remake is actually pretty scary as well. So congratulations, Lex Diaz. Lex Diaz is the winner. And we're going to give it up for Lex Diaz and Van Gogh, because you guys really are horror movie buffs, I can tell. I'll go ahead and obviously what this is bragging rights within the family that we have here. So I'll be posting the winner in the comments on this video with fire emojis and your name. Congratulations. We'll put it out, shout out on the Spaced Out Radio social media. And you're the reigning winner for this round of SOR trivia. So definitely fun experience, and I really appreciate you guys taking part in that. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to look into, because what we have been trying and doing lately is looking at stories from our good friend Lon Strickler over at phantomsandmonsters.com. So we're going to go ahead and promote and read one of his interaction stories today. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump into that. So this is Lon Strickler's phantomsandmonsters.com, and he writes about a recent winged humanoid sighting reported in Quilino, Argentina. Right? So we're going to go ahead and look at that. So he says a new report of a winged humanoid. Actually, let me bring up our graphic for Lon Strickler, actually. So this is our segment. It's actually SOR Cryptid Stories by Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. So he writes about a new report of a winged humanoid has recently surfaced in the village of Quilino, Argentina. It was reported to me by a citizen. There were other sightings of a similar creature in 2015. So this is what was written to him. So he says, hello, Senior Strickler. I have received your email address from a local paranormal investigator. Back in 2015, our small village of Quilino, Argentina, had several reported sightings of a winged humanoid creature. The local citizens reported sightings of a strange humanoid creature appearing in the middle of the night and then mysteriously disappearing. Reports of the creature spread quickly to the local police, who investigated but found nothing. Later, a fireman and friend, CS, and his police colleague were leaving the headquarters when they spotted in the street at night a strange black hooded figure that matched the sightings descriptions. The mysterious entity stood still and then suddenly vanished into the shadows. They followed the being until they saw it next to a tree. The figure was looking directly at them. It didn't watch them for too long. Seconds later, the figure opened its wings and flew away. My friend described the winged humanoid as 6 feet in height, very skinny, dark colored, with a wide wingspan of approximately 15 feet. The wing structure was like that of a large bat. The eyes were large and flashed beams of light intermittently. Okay. The police later asked for help from the community to locate the mysterious entity. There were no other reports made public until recently. About 2 weeks ago, a visitor to our village reported a similar winged humanoid. He was stopped at a petrol station along Route 60 in the village when this creature perched on the station canopy. The witness stated that another patron was there and witnessed the creature. The incident was reported to the police. I was told that the other witness was later interviewed. I will keep you updated on the investigation and whatever media reports come forward. Thank you. Wow. So this was written into Alon Strickler's phantomandmonsters.com or emailed to him. Pretty wild story. It sounds like, so we have people, yeah, exactly. I see some responses in here that line up with what I was thinking, yeah. So Libera Lucchini says, Mothman, and it does remind me of Mothman. It reminds me of what you hear about Mothman. Susie B says gargoyle. Van Gold says bat. Let's see. It was the Keepers Creepers dude. Crystal J, the Keepers Creepers dude. Jeepers Creepers. Oh, another scary movie, right? Yeah. Van Gold. Oh my God, that terrifies me. Me as well. If you see a 6 foot tall, whatever it is with wings, let's see. Terrible Times, Ingrid Cole. And yeah, very, very, very scary. So let me see. We have 7 minutes. We might be able to get another one. See how long this one is. So close that. Okay, looks like those are books. Which it looks like Lon Strickler has a long list of books as well that you can get from his website, phantomandmonsters.com. So I recommend going over there. He has a lot of creepy stories, a lot of good information over there. So let me see what else, if we can pick something else from his site this week. No. Okay. Yeah. Nothing that nothing that we'll get over in 6 minutes. So we'll just go ahead and talk for a few minutes here while we get ready to end the show. Hopefully everybody's prepared for this Halloween season. Like I heard Terry Hall talking the other day about decorating on his property out there, and the person down the street with the huge animatronic. Or any of you guys setting up anything special for Halloween, anything out of the box? You know, they normally have those, at least I know here in them. I think they do it actually all over the world, where they have the cornfields that are set up for the mazes, the Halloween like pumpkin patch mazes. I always wanted to do that. I've never actually gone to one of those mazes. I think I'll find one this year and try to go ahead and do that. I should film it as well. Any of you guys got anything planned? What do you normally do for the Halloween month? How do you set up? Just cut pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns? Anybody have plans on buying any costumes this year? Actually, I have a couple costumes I might wear on air one time. I'm a costume person. I like to go to Halloween parties and that type of stuff. Anybody else out there doing something fun? Yeah, haunted hay rides. Yeah. There you go, Black Dragon. Haunted hay rides. Exactly. I've been there. Last time I've been there, I was a kid. School takes you out to the pumpkin patch. You get to pick a pumpkin and take it home. So yeah, that brings back memories, actually, Black Dragon. Great memories. Okay. You just triggered a story. You triggered a story. Actually, I'll come back to that one real quick. Here I am. I love Halloween. Just your usual graveyard skeletons, strobe lights, and other cool, creepy decor. Yeah. Put the little speaker on the porch with the spooky music as well for ambiance. Yes, that would be great. Yeah, to wear a costume on there. Yeah, I have some things up my sleeve. I'm gonna try out, make it fun this year. And let's see. Yeah, Derek Galloway, Paramar's coming down to Florida. We're all going to Halloween Horror Nights. Anyone else can come. Yeah, I did Halloween Horror Nights out here. Are you going to the one, Derek, at Universal Studios? Because it sounds like you are. I did that one out here in California, in LA, the Universal Studios. And it was pretty cool. They had, at the time I went, Walking Dead was still a big thing. So they had the whole Walking Dead set there. They had a lot of people, tall people walking on stilts in their costumes. It's pretty creepy, man. Pretty creepy. I recommend anyone that has a chance to do horror nights is an experience. You should definitely try to do it. Yeah, I love this time of year too. Creeps up on you, and then this is as I found out, Thanksgiving time for Canadians. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys out there, and in America, we do a lot this month. Just a lot of different Halloween stuff, getting candy for the kids, all that good stuff, and then right after that, we jump into our family time of the year where we get into the Thanksgiving season, get ready to think about what we're cooking and all that. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yeah. Oh wow. My man friend is a cast member on Walking Dead. Which cast member? You can say real quickly before we wrap up the show. Yeah. Well, shout out to everybody for participating tonight. Hope we ended the show on a great note, and feel really good mingling with everyone. We're back to being the good family dynamic, and we're going to continue that feeling going forward. So tomorrow I will be standing in for Mr. David Scott as he goes to see Guns N' Roses. So go ahead and get out there and enjoy yourself, Dave Scott. We will be interviewing Melinda Leslie tomorrow. And so what I'm going to do is no call-in show tonight because I need to get some sleep for tomorrow and prepare for the Melinda Leslie interview. And then we'll continue with the call-ins next week as normal and get back to having some fun. All right. So let me go ahead and kill the music. All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Definitely want to go ahead and thank our super chatter, which I believe is W. Decker. Appreciate you, W. Decker, for supporting what we do here at Spaced Out Radio. And as we prepare to go ahead and bring this show to a close, to all the space travelers out there, remember considering taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join our Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 by joining Patreon. We appreciate your support to all our viewers and family and listeners across the globe. Thank you for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. And what's that, you ask? We own the night. You guys take care. See you tomorrow.